would agree to a contract like that, you wouldn't need a line item at all.
Right.
So,
Because it could come from the fees.
The commissioners contemplated that this year, right?
I think they did, because I did give them a printout of our, all of our,
Because I thought they
Interesting.
had talked about that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they also mention that that was?
yeah, they did, yeah.
Because that would be great. You know, we wouldn't have to appropriate it.
I can look into, ask the,
Well, I think they were talking about looking at a financial advisor. I know, I remember seeing that email. I mean, even if they did, those fees would come for a financial, officer, would come from the investments that they control too.
Well, I thought it was in the meeting too. I thought in the meeting they had discussed possibly using those funds.
Mhm.
if ever,
Might be
you know.
something next year. Maybe, I don't know if Baker Tilly would be willing to do that, or
If we separated out.
Yeah.
They're not.
or what,
the investments.
Well, I mean, the investments are separated out, but earnings from the investments is not in a different line item.
No, I mean, it's all in her report and the whole, yeah, true.
yeah,
So,
That's interesting.
it stays in the fund. It stays in the
Investment.
investment. We don't pull anything out. The money is, I just notate how much money we've received.
It's
That we're
almost like
earning.
it's just reinvested.
Yeah, it just stays in there and keeps going.
Depends on where she's 1191 or the general fund,
Yeah.
And then there's, most of
Yeah.
those,
4903.
the ones that have the little fund numbers on it, those are the ones that she puts into the funds on her side of the books. The ones down here, she doesn't have on the books,
Okay.
but we record them every
But they're
month.
the investment.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, even if it was going into an account to say pay for the advisor or whatever else, it's still a reinvestment,
Right.
for the county, the same way. And so it all comes out the loss.
I'll ask the DLGF about all that. I tried to find something. I couldn't find anything on any IC codes that I looked at. It's kind of muddy.
okay, so we have a motion on the floor, for $30,000 to be appropriated. Any other questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous? All right. So the other portion of that, Garrett, if we didn't appropriate money for it, or do we need to formally?
So we're not intending on doing anything with the second one. So, give me the second one and I will, bring that up at the next commissioners meeting. They can
Brian is
authorize-
supposed to, but I mean, if you're gonna,
Okay. if
to
you
have
can
you
do it,
aware of it as
They can
well.
just authorize me to initiate the termination of that, but to formally terminate it, just to make sure they know, or they're on notice, we're not proceeding with that. Since we already.
That side of it.
Yep.
Mark's not here.
They have a
Is
right to
that
come back.
Barry found out about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so I just, put the innkeeper's tax update. I know that's something that we've been discussing and,
What did you find out about?
Yeah, so I can just give a brief update on the next couple items. So in general, the innkeeper's tax update, there's nothing we can do on that until July 1st. That's when it takes effect and allows us to adopt that. In general, we already have an innkeeper's tax in the county. It is, it already has the general structure in place. To adopt anything above 5%, which is what we already have, take this up to 8, which is what the statute allows, that we would have to create a new fund, and this group would have to authorize the expenditures of that, and then we're authorizing that board to be able to use that for those economic development purposes. The board has the appropriate membership already on it. There's just a couple tweaks if you guys are going to make the determination after July 1st to impose the innkeeper's tax, that I want to make sure that the current board completely aligns, because what basically the statute contemplates is you can grandfather yours in, but the new members, if any, have to comply with the new statute. So those are minor changes the commissioners will make concurrently with this body, establishing a fund
You're
and
saying
approving.
board, which board? Tourism board?
The tourism board already controls this money
Yeah.
and would also control this extra 3 to 8 or 5 to 8%.
And what
But,
did
but a
we,
member of the town and a member of the council would be on that board, right?
Our ordinance says proportionally to the population to the county, BB has that many board seats, and I think that's 2. John's on there. Do you know if that's 2 or not?
That sounds right.
That's 2, because BB's population proportionate to the county. That's what our existing ordinance says, that many members have to be on.
But not somebody, not a commissioner, not a council.
Yeah, yeah, but they,
Yeah, I don't think there is either.
but I know John's on there, and then Mark, he's kind of in that group. And then some of the new changes contemplate that anybody that's gonna be added to that has to be involved in the tourism business. Because this group and the money that it can use those funds for they have to use these funds to reinvest into tourism purposes.
Now, what did we find out as far as because the way the state statute is written, campgrounds, any campers in there less than 30 days, the way the law is written, those get charged the head and bed tax.
Yeah,
When Mark was talking, Mark said he talked to tourism with the state. And the state said, well, there's only one county in the state that's actually charging for that.
Right.
Me personally, when I'm looking at it, if that's how the state statute is written, us looking at revenue decreases from Belterra, that's a possible revenue increase for economic, tourism in the county. So, if that's how the state law is written, I would rather follow the state law. Me
Yeah.
personally.
In and I'm trying to find this, there's some guidance that was sent out about 2021 to help folks with the innkeeper's tax. But the short answer is, and so I think the question you're worried about is, should we be taxing these people now or not? Because in reality, everybody that's getting taxed now should just continue to be taxed.
Yeah.
Nothing should change because nothing has changed with who should be taxed.
Right.
So the question is, I guess, are we applying the tax correctly? And you're asking about campgrounds specifically?
Yeah, because the state, like you said, the state statute reads campgrounds if campers are there more than 30 days. Like if they have a 30-day agreement, they got an all summer agreement, they don't pay the bed tax.
The campgrounds are generally more than 30 days.
No,
No,
Are they lower?
they could be a weekend, they could be
a week,
a week, it could be,
6 months.
but the way the statute reads, if it's more than 30 days,
Yeah.
there is no bed tax charge.
Yeah, that's the general. So campsites are included here in the departmental notice from the innkeeper's tax.
Yeah.
This is from Department of Revenue in 2019, effective January 1st, 2020.
And that's what Mark was saying when he talked to the tourism people with the state. They had said, well, there's only really maybe 1 or 2 counties in the state that are actually doing it. But for me, if that's what the statute says, you come back to it, we don't want to get in trouble for that either.
Yeah. Yeah, space in camper parks and trailer parks where spaces are offered for rent for periods of fewer than 30 days, campsites, tourist cabins, cottages, tents, or fixed trailers, houseboats, and other craft and overnight facilities.
I would think tourism would want to know that answer because it benefits them. That doesn't do anything for us.
No, but it could be used for tourism to bring more people into the county, which is going to help our other businesses and whatnot that are in the county, And when you comes right down to it with the auditorium and the different things they're talking about for down in the park, puts more funds in that bucket.
Yeah, I think I've sent this over to them. And I don't know have you guys talked about this in your meetings at all?
I don't know that we've had a meeting since you and I spoke about it.
Yeah, I'll send this to you as well. It's the innkeeper's tax, Department of Revenue departmental notice from 2020.
That's all I really had on. I just knew we were waiting for you.
But timing wise, it's in your purview to decide if and when we do this. We can do it.
I thought we
After
talked about-
July 1st, that's the.
Just as long as it's after July 1st.
Didn't we talk about starting in January 1, 2026?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I still think that's when we should start the
So we can just put it on, revisit this, and I can start preparing stuff, the ordinance for the commissioners and you guys in about December.
And it has to have a separate fund, so
It
what
does,
I'm
it's
taking
still-
in now, and then,
Yeah, so this actually says that we have to create a new fund for the anything above 5%.
Really, why is that? It should not
I mean, it's all going to the same pot, so what-
Well, there's slightly different uses that we can use it for, but they're all aligned with tourism.
yeah, they're all gonna go to.
Okay, the wheel tax and vehicle excise surtax.
So this is a confounding issue, because, there are differences of opinion even amongst those that authored the bill. So, in general, the current system for, CCMG funding, the community crossings does not change. So you can still have your community crossings, although the governor lowered the threshold from 1.5 to 1. Your current community crossings does not change. You do not need a wheel tax. The wheel tax, if you want that opens up an additional pot of money that is a straight stream of revenue, that if you have the wheel tax, you will be getting your wheel tax revenue, and you get a proportional share of the pot of money from the government, depending on the lane miles that Switzerland County has. And I sent that memo out. I think we got about 700 on the books, give or take. So 700 of the share of counties that have a wheel tax, so you automatically get those funds for use on the roads, bridges, and various things like that. The timing is where we have a discrepancy. The statute, as I read it, the author's interpretation, and NDOT, as I have discussed it with them, all interpret it the same way that I do, that you have to have it in place by 2026 to have it eligible for that automatic revenue stream in 27. There are folks through LTAP and some other organizations that train the highway department, and they go to conferences, and they are being told across the board that they have to have this in by this year. So my advice, given the discrepancy, I don't know where they're coming from. There's some discussion if it depends on the fiscal years used, that's what impacts our ability, and that's why it needs to be done in 2025. If you're contemplating doing this, it doesn't hurt to do it sooner rather than later, because it starts to build up your funds for specific roads and bridges. But that's a complete decision for this group. But again, just to emphasize, nothing's changed with the current community crossings fund. This is just additional money that you can get if you have this. You can adopt anywhere in the range. I don't know the range off the top of my head, but the wheel tax and the vehicle surtax has to be imposed jointly. And those are, one applies to trucks, things like that. The other one applies to passenger vehicles.
Oh, which buggy?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know off the top of my head. But so that's,
I mean, that's a great question.
If
Yeah.
it falls into
Well.
it too, like if you're IFTA licensed. or
there's a,
it's a different-
there's a definition that shows which applies to which. I don't know why we just don't have one, but statute says you have to impose both of these. And this is the fee that gets tacked on every year when you're doing your registration. That's when you pay it.
So the community crossings, is it 150 down to 100? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 150 down to 100.
And that's still application process, though, so you might.
Still application, still might not.
Which we typically do, though, definitely, it's really good about.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you also, the good thing is, with that community crossings, we lowered the match from 25% to 20%. So you'll only have to bring in 20% of the funds as opposed to 25%.
This existing community crossing, and the existing revenue stream isn't going away, but they aren't capping.
Yeah, they capped that to 100
Wherever
million,
you go.
They did cap it?
100 million for the existing CCMG stuff.
So the problem we're gonna have, which I don't like this wheel tax, but if that's capped,
Yeah,
15 years from now, $100 million isn't gonna buy anything. So it's, you can look at it today and say, well, it's still there. We don't need to have this tax.
Yeah.
But what's
And there's no guarantee you get any of it.
right.
And actually, we're doing 2 draws, I think, on those 2.
They were down to 1, but
And this is gonna be 1 draw, I mean, it'd be for the same amount, I guess, for the whole project. Okay.
One thing
my
is,
question.
September 1st, 2026.
Yeah, that's where I said the discrepancy.
Okay.
The statute, everything I see to be eligible in 27, it says 26,
Yeah.
but highway department's being told they have to have it in by 2025. I don't know if you're getting any guidance from anybody, but that's the discrepancy. I mean, I've talked to NDOT, they confirmed this, my 2026, after the offer of the bill last night, he confirmed 2026. But highway departments are being told 2025.
So
So
who's talking to them?
I have sent specific direct question, not gotten an answer to say, these are the individuals that I'm hearing from my highway department in Franklin County that said, these are the folks advising you. Why are they saying this? Tell me, help me,
Yeah,
you know.
no answer.
We are completely in control of the tax amount, the wheel tax amount, right?
Yeah, so to qualify for the wheel tax, you don't have to max it out. You don't have to do anything. You just have to handle it. There is a minimum, and I'll get that. I will send it.
To be valid.
It's a small amount, like it's like,
1 penny per tire.
I'm thinking it's like $5.
Right.
I'll send it to you, but
But then you still get a percentage of
there's a range.
pot.
There's a range. It gives you authority to say as low as this, as high as this in the statute, but any presence of the wheel tax qualifies you for your proportionate share of your roads.
Do we define, to Todd's point, can we define that a buggy wagon is?
There's a state,
For a mill.
the state determines which one is the surtax, which one applies to surtax and which one applies to the.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be going to the DMV though.
No,
Because
they don't
get
get
licensed
No, they're
stickers.
supposed
They
to,
get a
I thought they
sticker.
had to register.
They get a sticker in my office, they come and get a sticker.
So your office, you charge a ticket tax?
$25 for each one.
Well, I'll answer that. I'll get you an answer on that. I'll email it to everybody. The answer on that, and I'll email everybody the range.
That's a good question.
The minimum and the.
Minimum and maximum.
There's a lot of them in this county.
Okay. Next on the list is the State Board of Accounts audit update. Matt brought this up, and this was, I did mention this in earlier emails this year, and my take on it was that we didn't have any action items immediately, but so I dropped it. I should have emailed you guys about that, but Garrett, do you want to cover what has been done or what?
Yeah, so I've came in and got up to speed. So each individual department that had the audit report finding, they're kind of responsible for moving their ball along, for lack of a better term. The treasurers, I think, is complete. So I think they're done. The process here is to receive your finding, and then you submit a corrective action plan, and then you do the corrective action plan. So commissioners have submitted their corrective action plan now. We're just implementing that. I'm in charge of helping them there with putting in place a kind of the checks and balances. We're already doing some of that with the grant review committee. And then
I've
you're
submitted
working on
mine as
yours,
well.
and you're
Mhm.
you're in the process of implementing. the
I have to implement, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
And we have time to implement the corrective action plan now that all of the corrective action plans have been implemented or have been submitted. And everyone's have been approved.
Attendance on demand update.
we left her.
That's about-
Where are we on this, Gil?
I'm meeting with her on Friday, and then hopefully she's wanting to start the training in July and go live I'm gonna hope for August 1st.
The reason because I saw an email.
We have not paid them anything.
We haven't paid them anything.
No,
Pete sent, in his last email that he sent out, said that this was ready to go to implementation February 1st. It was not.
no, because, I mean, there's a lot of, I know we had the new handbook, but everybody has, the sheriff's office has their own, the prosecutor has since wrote his own, the judge as well. So those are salary people now, and then you got we don't even keep track of their PTO, because that's all.
Right.
And then the sheriff's office, they don't get holiday pay, so that had to be changed, and every department is different. As far as, you can't just clock in and clock out and it goes, so
So what I heard you say is we're looking at an August implementation.
That's what I'm pushing for, because I have a meeting with her Friday, and then we're just gonna go over the PTO policy one more time and have everybody.
I think this is just as far as attendance on demand, I mean, the employees will be signing in.
It's like a time clock system, basically.
Yeah, it will. They'll have like a fob. Instead of sitting there punching, and they're gonna have a fob that they can. I would love to have the fobs where they could get in and out of the door and do it with keys and all that good stuff, but that's another story for another day.
Okay. I can carry over the
Yeah.
update on the meeting recordings. I was hoping Carrie would give us an update. I know her last email, Lee said she was hoping this meeting would be on there, so I haven't heard from her on that. Hopefully July she could get us up to date on that. On the county website.
The county website, I spoke to you earlier, the 27th, if anybody that has access to it, I emailed the department heads. They can't change anything. You know, like if they go in and change, I don't know, someone, a deputy or something, I need to know about that, which I already emailed everyone on that, so. But they're looking for 27th is when the development will start, and then the 16th, they're gonna start testing, and then hopefully be live by August 1st. So the quicker we get all that, and then the training, I don't feel like we'll have any hiccups with anybody getting trained on it, you know,
Been 8 months of the year with the website on.
but it's,
But we're
Well,
not
I mean,
updated.
you know, we-
That's why I got a call from SBOA, because
I
they
know.
thought I was still the vice president.
you got to, when this got voted and then we get it to them and
Yeah, I
then they,
know.
you know, it's not. And then I've already sent that email out and I've already got two, like the extension office, they don't necessarily use our website. They just have a link. You go on there and click it. The prosecutor's gonna be the same way. So, and that link doesn't work on our current website right now. I just don't.
Board reports. Somebody. Our next meeting will be July 9th. I will not be here. President will run the meeting. Okay.
I do have one thing
Okay.
that, I know that you guys are familiar that Moorfield Bennington did not get appropriated this year, so they're running in their red already and have been. But they've got two pumps that they had to pay for, and not for sure where to take the money from.
I thought that all fell underneath the maintenance deal that the commissioners cut.
Yeah, I thought so.
A pump for the,
I thought all that equipment was being refitted.
they are doing the $600,000 deal, that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is being implemented, but these two pumps are pretty much shot.
Outside of that scope.
Yeah, because I think I don't know if,
those guys.
1,725 and 1,875. So a little over 3,000. Whose district? Moorfield Bennington, it would be Jamie. 3,600. He wasn't at the commissioners meeting. He was absent, so I told him that I would ask, and I mean, I can take it out of there.
Where do you
But
suggest that we pull?
My thing is, in Moorfield Bennington is in the negative. Their whole budget is because, yeah, they never got funded from the get-go.
I mean, if we tackle this in the July meeting, is that,
Yeah, because, yeah, it'll be fine.
I mean, I think that,
I think it's pleasant.
that funds never got.
Moorfield Bennington,
For
they're two
2025.
separate.
The commissioner couldn't agree to put any revenue in there. and obviously can't fund itself.
Well,
So same as the tech center, same as the tech building.
They did fund the facility. That even mentioned the medical.
She's saying they didn't.
Yeah, because the medical building, because the coroner's and whatnot, so they did fund it. I thought for sure they did.
Yeah, you're saying.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
The commissioners didn't fund the Bennington or the tech building?
Yeah, the tech building did not get affected.
For the medical building?
The medical building is the health department. They have, it did not get appropriated, but they do have the funds to fund themselves.
Okay. So how is tech building?
But this is,
This right here, we have to- okay, I think both those need to be on the July
okay.
agenda.
When are those, I'm sorry, Gail, when are those bills due? I mean, we already behind.
They were put on the county credit card, so they'll be due by the 17th of next month. You say the tech building in Moorfield, Bennington?
So we do July 2nd.
Get the interest.
I mean, yeah, we have to pay it full. We can't pay.
I mean, it's not just that, I mean, there's utilities for this, so both of them need to be looked at. Because
I mean, I
normally we've
just-
always put in a little bit of gaming with, is it 25,000 for this, no, it's back, there's 50,000 for this building and 25 in Morphle Basin?
Most
that right?
likely, yeah. I mean, Moorfield Bennington does get some funds, you know, from payments, but.
It's not enough to cover maintenance when things pop up.
Well, and like,
Right here.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
doesn't like the extension office, why don't they pay rent for?
Extension office said no. No, he should. Garrett, do you have the back page for the salary ordinance amendment? John, maybe?
If not, I got some extra copies.
What other offices are in here? John's office is in here.
There's the extension office, the veterans office, GAI, and then there's two
So
different.
there is some.
Yeah, there is some.
But not enough to cover expenses.
I mean, you got,
Is that the minutes down at the end? And that everybody signed it?
Yep. that's the one.
I really thought that the commissioners funded those.
No,
Oh, yeah.
It
you
just-
guys- That's the minutes.
we
Right.
did, you did decide to fund one of them, but it's still, it was late. That's probably what you're thinking about. Because they did not do it at the time.
We don't, this building didn't bring enough revenue to pay the utilities. It's not substitute service.
So then how do you help them out?
There's, I mean, there was some
It's-
disagreement about,
It didn't get appropriated.
Yeah.
Let's say that instead of not funding it.
Yeah.
That makes it sound a little bit better. You know, because there's,
You have to transfer appropriation somewhere else.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
here. Oh, is this for this?
This is this land.
No, but I just want to make sure, the name, this is the name column.
Yeah,
It just didn't wrap around, okay, I'll make sure.
So did we make any decision on it, or is it just gonna go back to the commission?
It's gonna go in July. I'm gonna bring it back in the
Okay.
July meeting.
May sign this one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's, ordinance. For the recorder's part-time person.
Yeah.
So you've got both NGO documents and you've got minutes signed,
Yes.
is that it?
Mhm.
Give an update from John on casino.
Oh, it's bad.
He's
Don't
been
you
waiting
give us
this
an
whole
update on
time.
Doc, you gotta tell us something, you're going to.
I'll ask a question. I think.
Okay, perfect.
Well, and number-wise, we don't have anything new from the last thing I sent you, but we're gonna get a new number tomorrow on May revenue for Belterra, so that's gonna tell us a bunch, and then, you know, that's 1 month left in the fiscal year, so kind of the stuff we talked about last time, that'll answer all those questions. And depending on what we hear tomorrow, that may answer most of them too, depending on whether it's really big or really little, or right down the middle.
I mean, just some personnel news that we both are aware of. there's not a general manager. We've lost our contact at the highest level down there right now.
Yeah, they've named, and from what I understand, they've named a general manager, but they're sharing between the property here and,
Chris is between
yeah.
both locations, and then Heather Holt would be your highest person.
that's all I got.
Thank you, Jonas. Dr. Bentley?
Oh, man, I was just kind of hanging out listening to you. This, I think, and perhaps your attorney could figure this out for Monday evening. I've gotten information that with the opioid fund that's just hanging around, there's some section of that, there'll be a dollar for dollar match through FSSA. It's Department of Maternal Health and Addictions. So there's a chance, and nothing's ever happened with it. It's just been sitting there forever. But there's a possibility. So I'll try to get them to prove that, to submit a letter of intent before the end of June. And then you can ask questions about all of it and what you're going to use it for, one thing or another, of this match in the month of July. And I think that's also when that's due, and then they'll award those dollar for dollar matches. So I guess my question is going to be, is that fund strictly under control of the commissioners, or will, if I try to get some little something for infants in bloom, will I have to come back to the council?
I can take a look. Do you know who's got that fund?
It's the opioid restricted and unrestricted.
Yeah.
We had this big discussion last year that it had to go to the attorney, I believe is what they
I'll take a look.
said, but there's no,
And we have money in both restricted and unrestricted.
yes.
About 150, wasn't
I
it?
think it's
The total?
Yeah,
Between
between the
both of
two.
them?
Yeah, it's about 200 total.
So they do a
So-
dollar for dollar match on.
There's some stipulations. It has to be prevention, or it's directed toward prevention or one thing or another, like infants in bloom would be. And you guys have all, well, not the new ones, but you guys have seen that program or
She-
talked to
yeah.
this lady or whatever. Anyway, one of the other things, I think it could be a big treatment center, at which point in time, that's like a $500,000 match, which I don't imagine we want to make some kind of big treatment center. Transportation. So the middle one was up to $150 dollar for dollar match on transportation, to get people that are trying to work off their substance abuse disorder, someplace to do it and back. So it was for basically three items, but there was some speculation early on that that would be a match. And then I thought, with the state of Indiana's budget and all that, forget it. And then this just kind of came out of the blue.
Thanks,
Okay.
Doc.
Later.
Make a motion for adjourn.
You gotta look up that.
I'll send you what I have.
We can get that information. Yeah. Okay, give me a motion to adjourn, can I say?
Second.
Next, all in favor? We're done.
Was this first?